All right, hello everybody. Today I'm going to do a little experimental video. I don't even know how this is going to turn out, but I'm going to call this "Not All Hammocks Are Created Equal." So what we're looking at now is my Dutch-ware Chameleon single layer in Coyote Brown 1.6 Hexon. It's hanging in my backyard on my what I want to call my test trees. So what we're going to attempt to do is see if, in a lot of videos, people will give you a hammock tutorial, tell you, your straps need to be this high, your trees need to be this far apart, and, they give you some formula for hanging your hammock perfect. So what I've done here is hang my hammock on my two test trees to what some might call specifications. My tree straps are a little bit higher than my head, and when I get in the hammock, my straps are pretty much at a 30-degree angle, as witnessed by doing the I hate to call it the gun thing in interest of political correctness, but if I make a little right angle with my fingers, it is approximately 30 degrees. And that will vary somewhat once I get into the hammock. So let's get in here and we'll take a look-see and see what we got. All right, here I am inside the hammock. I'm not quite in where I belong. Here we go. There we go. That's my spot. Okay, I'm in my hammock, and this and my other hammock as well are configured with an asymmetrical bug net, which means the bug net is configured to the direction in which you lay. So I prefer to lay head right, feet left. So that is the way this bug net is put on. Now a lot of people were confused by asymmetrical versus symmetrical bug nets. I prefer asymmetrical because it kind of opens the hammock up somewhat. Now a lot of people were scared off by asymmetrical because when they buy a hammock, if they've never used one before, they're a bit confused as to which way they're going to prefer to lay. Head right, feet left, or head left, feet right. And I was confused at first too. I didn't understand. So my first bug net was asymmetrical bug net, which is marketed with the idea that if you want to change your lay direction in the middle of the night, you can do so, as long as you aren't using tie outs. But I quickly found out that I sleep head right, feet left, and I don't move during the night. I do not move, despite the fact that I roll around in my bed at home. Once I get in this hammock, I go to sleep, and other than to get up to pee, I do not change the lay direction. So you do still have the option to change your lay direction with an asymmetrical bug net, just not while you're in the hammock, not while you're sleeping. You must remove the bug net and flip it over, where with a symmetrical bug net, you can just move within the hammock without getting out. But I find I don't do that, and I find that most people do not do that. Also, I found that I am in the minority as far as lay direction, that a vast majority of the people will lay head left, feet right. Of course, I'm an oddball, so yeah. Okay, this is my Dutch-ware single layer Chameleon 11-foot hammock, and now we're gonna take this thing down, not move the straps, and I'm going to put up my 11-foot Dutch wear double layer, and we'll see what happens. All right, now I got my double layer hung up on the same two trees, on the same two straps. I did not move the straps whatsoever, but obvious to me is the hammock is now closer to the ground. This hammock is, let's see, it would be just a little bit shorter than my other hammock. So it's going to need some adjustment in order to hang properly. I'm going to get in the hammock without moving it just to see what happens, or to show you the outcome of not doing any adjustments. So hang on. All right, here I am in the hammock. Same make and model of hammock. It is a Dutch wear Chameleon. This one is a double layer. I'll get to that in a minute. And this one was purchased in like October of 2019. So it is about 2.5 years older than the other one, which I don't really think has any bearing on the situation. But obviously it is different. It is of different, the length is just a little different, as you can tell, for the tree straps and by this. I never moved those tree straps, but my ridgeline is very slack. I need to do some tweaking on the outside to my straps. So I am going to lay here and explain something before I go out and do that. So as I said, this is a double layer hammock, meaning there are 2 layers of fabric, one sewn to the other, with an opening with the option to put something between the 2 layers for insulation. Now this particular hammock is 1.6 woodland camo on the outside and 1.0 coyote brown on the inside. So what's 1.6 and 1.0? Well, that is the weight of a square yard of this fabric. The brown, if you had 1 square yard, would weigh 1 ounce. The camo, if you had 1 square yard, it would weigh 1.6 ounces. So you ask, why did I opt to go double layer? Well, there again, I was new to the game, and I already had like a air mattress and a sleeping bag for sleeping on the ground. So I thought, after watching some videos and instructionals, I thought, well, I'm just going to get the double layer, put that insulated sleeping pad between the layers, and I don't need an underquilt. Well, I found out after about 2 nights that that is not the optimum idea. In retrospect, I wish I'd have taken the money spent on the extra layer of the hammock and put it toward my underquilt and insulation. Now, I'm now the owner of 2 sets of quilts. I have a 30-degree top quilt and a 40-degree top quilt and a 30-degree underquilt. And I have a 10-degree top quilt and a 10-degree underquilt. And I have been out in cold weather. I was down to 29 degrees. Now, as you know, with sleeping bags and so forth, the ratings they give them are not really, some are survival, some are comfort, but I will say that when I took my 10-degree out, I took a folding windshield reflector, like one of those silver things that you put in the windshield of your car in the summertime to keep the heat down. I took one of those and I put it between the two layers of this hammock. So the double layer was not a total waste. I mean, I still can utilize it, but like I said, in retrospect, I probably would not buy a double layer hammock again. Okay, enough rambling. I'm gonna go out and do some adjusting and see if I can get this thing dialed in a little better. It's not too bad really, but that ridge line is pretty, it's a little too slack. Could use a little tightening. So let's go out and do that. Okay, since I am now a little bit too low to the ground for my liking and my ridge line is too slack, I should be able to just accomplish this feat by tightening up raising my straps a little bit. And I don't think I can record and do that at the same time, so hang loose, I'll be right back. Okay, what I have just done is raised my hammock up just slightly, not much, by pulling this strap and raising it up higher off the ground, a little bit higher, and I did that with both ends. But something else I want to mention here is if you watch a lot of hammock tutorials, they will tell you to put your foot end like anywhere from 4 to 8 inches higher than your head end. Well, you know, a lot of us, including me, have a lot of trouble buying into that theory because we slept in a tent for so many years, and you're told, you know, whatever you do when you pitch your tent, don't lay with your head downhill or you're going to get a headache, which is true. But in a hammock, that is not necessarily true. What will happen if your head is too high is you will slide down. Well, as you sleep, you will slide toward your foot end. And where that comes into a consideration is when you have an underquilt. Now, your underquilt's only going to come about as far as about right here. So if it's cold, and I mean, it doesn't take much to get cold. I mean, anything lower than 60 degrees, you're going to need insulation. And if your feet slide down past that underquilt, I don't care if you have socks on or what, you're going to end up getting cold feet. So make sure your head is a little higher than your feet. And something I always do with both my hammocks, the continuous loops on the ends are of different colors. Here we have red. Over here we have gray. And on the other hammock, I think they're the same color. I know one of them's red, but I don't know if the other one's gray or not. Let's rewind the video back and you tell me. But anyhow, you know, I always make sure the red is the head end. That way, when I hang, I can get more consistent. All right, I've moved my straps. Let's get in the hammock again and we'll see what we have. Okay, I'm just sitting in the hammock right now, getting ready to get into the sleeping position, but the way I'm hanging right now, my feet just barely touch the ground, which is what I like. It's that way when your shoes are sitting here in the middle of the night and nature calls and you got to get out of this thing in a hurry, you're not groping around, swinging around, trying to find shoes, trying to get your shoes on. You can just slam them on and go. Because, baby, when you get to be 60 years old and you got to pee in the middle of the night, there ain't no time to waste. All right, let's get in this thing. We'll see what we got. I suppose for the sake of clarity, I should zip this bug net. bear with me. I'm a middle-aged male. All right, there we go. Get down in what we call the sweet spot. Get laying on diagonal. All right, let's check out this ridge line. Yeah, that's pretty darn good. You know, one thing, people just jump in the hammock, lay down, and don't really get in what we want to call the sweet spot. You gotta, once you get in there, you gotta like wiggle around. The way a hammock's made, a gathered end hammock, I mean, you could end up laying with your butt over here. That's not the bottom of the hammock. Right now I can feel like my back is twisted at an angle. So once you get in your hammock, just, you know, wiggle around, find where you're comfortable. You'll find that sweet spot eventually. And baby, when you find it, it's like sleeping on a cloud. All right, yeah, right there. So there I am, ready for La La Land, and it's only 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Okay, well, my intention of making this video is, you know, you can't tell your friend, have your friends tell you, oh, you put your hammock strap 6 feet off the ground, your trees have to be this far apart. You know, you got to mess with it. And where you have your straps and the angle of your straps and the tightness of your ridge line will all vary depending on how far apart your trees are. Take that into consideration. There is no magic formula for hanging this thing and getting it right the first time. Chances are you may think you have it, and you might end up getting up in the middle of the night and readjusting, because sometimes your straps will settle into the tree and it'll change a little bit, but it's not really that difficult once you get onto it. So my best advice is, don't be afraid to experiment. You're not going to break anything. Well, technically you shouldn't break anything, but just make sure that ridge line is not too tight, not too loose. The thing shouldn't be sagging. It should be tight enough that the bug net is taut. It shouldn't really be hanging in your face. Now, if you have a symmetrical bug net, there could be some sagging, but for the most part, the thing shouldn't be hanging down on you. So that's it. You know, all hammocks, they're gathered in hammocks are the same, but on the other hand, they're not the same. So my credo is, don't be afraid to mess with it. You'll figure it out. You'll get it right. Okay, it's a sunny June afternoon, and I'm behind my house. I just think I might spend the night out here. So, all right, from Western Pennsylvania on a sunny June day, signing off. Have fun with your hammock.